Hello, I'm John Spohr for Forgotten Coast TV. Now, perhaps you've heard the old saying that everybody's downriver from somebody. But living here on the Forgotten Coast and in Apalachicola, that's particularly important because, well, we're downriver from everybody. And that means that we all have to take the threats to the Apalachicola River very seriously, no matter where those threats are found. And today we have a man, a former resident of Franklin County, coming back to join us, and this is Mr. Roger Martin. And Roger, thanks again
John,
for coming back to talk to us.
Great to see you. It's been a while, and I'm mighty smiling when I came across the bridge on the bay this morning.
Now, Roger, when you were down here in your earlier life, you worked a great deal with the Apalachicola Riverkeeper.
I did, John. I served as a development director. I worked on funding, organization, and running of the organization. And Dave did the advocacy work. So,
now, Roger, let's talk about the Apalachicola River for a minute. Tell us where the Apalachicola River itself starts.
The Appalach starts at the Jim Woodruff Dam, right at the Georgia-Florida line, and flows about 107 miles south to the mouth of the Apalachicola Bay.
Now, at that dam, what is north of that dam?
North of that dam is, you really look at the river in two stretches. You look at the middle river, where I'm working with our organization, and then the upper river. I work in the middle river, which is where the fall line habitat is, and it's very unique there that if you go back 80 million years ago, that's where the ocean ended. All the way up, 300 miles up the river is where the ocean ended.
And you're talking about approximately where in Georgia?
Right around Columbus, Georgia, and Phoenix City, Alabama.
Okay, Roger, now you're now associated with an organization called the RiverWarden, and could you tell us a little bit about that? I assume it has the same kind of goals?
We have the same goal as the Riverkeeper. We just decided there were local issues that we needed to work on more. So we formed, a group of citizens formed the Chattahoochee RiverWarden, and they hired me. I'm glad to go to work for them. They hired me 1st of September to help them run the organization.
Okay, so Roger, so the Chattahoochee flows down and actually forms the headwater of the Apalachicola River.
Absolutely.
So what affects the Chattahoochee, as we certainly found out with Atlanta's drinking water problems, certainly affects us down here. And you're dealing now with a problem there that has to do with a proposal for a gigantic landfill right on the banks of the Chattahoochee?
What has happened, literally in the middle of November, there has been a sand mining operation for about 50 years within a mile of the Chattahoochee in Russell County, Alabama. And the owners of that have now proposed to put a construction and demolition landfill back where they have mined all these sands out in sand and gravel for the last 50 years.
Now, Roger, I think we've got a graphic up here, and so this is showing it's right on the bank of the river.
It is 3/4 of a mile. If you look at the property line, it's 3/4 of a mile from the Chattahoochee River, and extremely porous, sandy soil.
Now, Roger, this type of landfill has been tried other places with disastrous results, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. All you got to do is go over to Escambia County, just a few counties over from us. They had one called the Softly landfill, and actually they had to call in the Center for Disease Control. Florida DEP couldn't handle it. They brought in the US EPA, and the owners, it was run as a limited liability corporation. The owners disappeared. Escambia County ended up owning that landfill, and they wrote the first check last week for $5 million to start the cleanup of this landfill.
Now, that's the one in Escambia.
That's the one in Escambia.
Well, with that kind of a history, Roger, why would anyone, what do the proposers of this landfill, what do they say when those kind of facts are brought up to them?
Basically, they're saying it meets the Alabama Department of Environmental Regulations, and it's fine to put it there. Our organization would not even be involved in this issue if it was 3 or 4 miles from the river in clay-type soils.
So, Roger, what we're saying is that your organization is concerned with the river that actually forms the boundary between Georgia and Alabama.
Correct. Our board is composed of one person near West Point, 4 board members from Georgia, 4 board members from Alabama.
And so what you're trying to do is put together a group of stakeholders then that want to see the health of the river more important than the usage of that land for a landfill.
Right. I mean, that land should be restored to a degree, make lakes and ponds and wetlands, and donate it to the city or the county. I mean, they have used the land for 50 years for a good purpose. I mean, they have mined sand. And you know, it's not right to put a construction and demolition landfill there.
Could you tell us a little bit about what a construction and I mean, it doesn't sound good, but what kind of stuff would they be dumping there?
Well, the biggest issue is they're dumping, if you think about a roll-off box when you build a house, they throw everything in there. And all of a sudden you got half full paint cans, half full cans of adhesives that they've laid carpeting or hardwood floors. And the real problem, and this is where the Center for Disease Control has gotten involved in what happened in Escambia County, that they're now finding as drywall starts to decompose, it generates hydrogen sulfide gas. Hydrogen sulfide gas is a very serious issue with human health. In Escambia County, they actually have put air filtration systems in people's homes within a mile of this landfill. The Center for Disease Control had to issue an emergency health warning in Warren, Ohio. I mean, these are, people think they're just construction debris, but they're not. And to make it worse, and you've seen it, and I've seen it, being here in Franklin County, people roll by roll-off boxes and they got a bag of trash in the back of the pickup truck. They throw garbage in it at the same time. So it's a composite of everything.
Well, Roger, it just seems like, and I don't want to say even in Alabama, but I mean, it would seem like that any state would be concerned about putting this kind of construction refuse, garbage in sand. I mean, is there some kind of plans for a liner for this or something?
There's no liner planned, no leachate collection. I'll give you a guiding document, John, that the Florida DEP right now are starting to have problems all over the state. And they're looking at construction demolition landfills, basically requiring a liner, requiring leachate collection systems, and requiring gas controls or methane controls to limit the exposure and to move it. Florida has not issued those regulations yet, but I have the guiding documents. And also, really interestingly, the University of Florida has gotten so involved in this, they have set up a special department that is researching construction and demolition landfills.
You know, Roger, isn't this one of our really big problems today, is that just like you have a river that's dividing 2 states, and the laws aren't the same on both sides of the river, and what people are allowed to do are not the same. And here we seem like we have a situation where people are not even willing to take advantage of the mistakes that were made before.
You hit it on the head. I mean, it's a real challenge. When I was working with the river keepers here, we have one set of regulations we worked at. If you get to Georgia, they're totally different. Alabama, again, totally different. And really we need to manage this ecosystem as one ecosystem from up at Brasstown Ball all the way to Apalachicola Bay. There can be a lot of groups working to protect the river and for the stewardship of the river. But you've got to look at it as one basin, because I guess the old Indian I read, a book wrote one day, said, put your hand in the water, and what hits before is what came before you. And what hits behind is what you're sending on downstream.
And like we said, we're downstream from everybody here, so we have some concerns. Now, Roger, if somebody wanted to learn more about this problem, about this potential problem, and how they can help, where would they go to look for more information?
John, the first thing if they would do, if they're Facebook users, that they would go to Facebook and do a search on Chattahoochee RiverWarden.
Okay, we're going to put that up on the screen here.
We'll put that on the screen. I would love to have that. I'm also in the process, literally, we're only a 3-month-old organization. I'm in the process, and within the next 3 to 4 days, I'll have our website up, which is www.ChattahoocheeRiverWarden.org.
So that's coming up pretty soon.
That's coming up in the next 4 or 5 days. And then last but not least, give me a call at my office. I'll be glad to talk to them about the issue, to solicit help from them, because this issue affects everybody. It's not just Columbus, it's not Phoenix City, it's not Lake Eufaula. Eventually, and it won't be in our lifetime, it'll be 100 years, or we'll leave legacies. And we don't want to leave a legacy of this landfill right beside the river.
Right next to the river. Now, what kind of things, if people get in touch with you, what kind of things can they do to help?
We can write letters to county commissioners, attend a public hearing, start advocating for their downstream users to do not allow this to happen. I mean, you're going to see nutrients. I mean, Lake Seminole today is 80% covered with hydrilla. That's from nutrients that have come downstream.
Nutrient enrichment.
Nutrient enrichment. It's come from downstream. 80% of the lake is covered.
And, you know, and Roger, that's one of the reasons why we're talking about this today, and we're writing it on Forgotten Coast TV, is because after a while you simply got to ask yourself, how much is enough?
Yeah. I mean, the good Lord has given us a ton of wonderful natural resources. And as we wrote recently in a little article we wrote, they've been abused, neglected, polluted, and wasted. And water is a precious commodity. I mean, we all learned when we were in school about 75% of the earth is water, but only about 1 to 2% is drinking water. 105 counties in Georgia get their drinking water from the Chattahoochee River. And you've got some downstream users coming on down, and I don't even know the statistics on Alabama.
Well, Roger, I bet it's a lot of people there, and it just seems so amazing that that the state officials could be so casual about polluting the primary drinking water for so many people, much less our oysters down here.
Yeah, I mean, the oysters, man, we'll have to go get some tonight when we finish. But, you know, it's a great resource. And, you know, Florida has done a tremendous job in the protection of the Appalachia. I mean, the state and the federals have bought up so much of the watershed. We've got a 30 to 40 mile wonderful floodplain that picks up a lot of that nutrient when the river floods. But, you know, we've got to be responsible stewards upstream.
Well, Roger, we get little enough good news down here, so we're happy that you're bringing us that. I want to thank you for coming down and talking with us today about this problem.
It's been wonderful. I mean, we're going to eat some oysters here in a little while. And
remember why we're doing this.
See some old friends that I hadn't seen in the years since I left, and have a good time.
Excellent. Well, there you've heard it from Roger Martin. He's the River Warden. And if you can help, give him a call. Contact him through Facebook. In a few days, probably by the time that you're hearing this, their website will be up. We're giving you all that information here at the end of this show. Want you to help because we need everybody protecting our resource for us to have any resource. Thank you, and thank you for watching Forgotten Coast TV.